We obviously have a lot of things we want to hit with you. We'll get to Josh Rosen. You obviously have the game this weekend with UCLA. 10 teams in the SEC in the top 25. Penn State getting squashed by Temple, first time since 41. The Buckeyes.
Oh,
Did
boy.
you? Nice.
You called that? No, you didn't.
I called that. Yeah.
Did you really?
For the record, fellas, for 2 years in a row on Inside College Football, I have won both the picks and predictions segment and the underdog segment. So if you want to get some good tips just for entertainment purposes only, be sure to tune in to Inside College Football.
Well, hang on a second. I mean, I like to be entertained, but I like to be entertained while I'm collecting cash at the same time. So forget about just the entertainment aspect. I want to win some loot. So Aaron Taylor's my guy. I didn't know that it was 2 for 2. All right. That changes things. This we have to get this out of the way. I mean, there's ominous starts, and then there are ominous starts. And when you already shuffle the coaching staff, I mean, Notre Dame was the one end. The low end that game was Texas. What does Charlie Strong do? It just seems like he's swimming upstream already, which is dangerous at that school.
I agree. I didn't like the move personally, and I've never been a head coach, but I've been around the game a lot. That sends a very strong message to everybody, to your fan base, to the administration, but more importantly, I think from the players' perspective, to the players, that the guy that you've listened to the entire preseason that called the first game, we're now going to make a shift. So what that does is it cuts that guy's legs out from underneath him. There's a credibility and a buy-in factor. And certainly it's the head coach's job to be able to make those tough decisions, and Charlie Strong has demonstrated an incredible ability to do that, letting a lot of guys go and trying to change a culture in a program that, quite frankly, had become soft and was country club-esque. So a move like this, while they happen all the time in college football, what really stood out to me about it was that it was so public. It was so transparent. I respect the decisions. I think that probably that change needed to come at some point anyway, but the fact that we were all privy to it in the way that it was done, I think was probably a little messier than it needed to be, for the very reasons that we're sitting right here this morning talking about that versus the improvement that was made and what needs to be done moving forward. Is the program in disarray? Is Charlie Strong the right guy? It raises too many additional questions that I don't think are warranted at this time because of how it was handled.
Man, you know this. You've been around. You and Teague both played. Once the perception is out there, even if it's not the real reality, that becomes a narrative that can suck even the greatest coach down the tube. So obviously that's a story we're going to keep watching. Aaron Taylor, CBS Sports college football analyst, going through week 1, getting ready for week 2 here on CBS Sports Radio.
Now, Aaron, my alma mater had the misfortune of going out to the West Coast and playing against UCLA, and maybe, at least this is very premature in a prediction, the best quarterback UCLA has seen since Troy Aikman, Josh Rosen, and you're going to have this game this weekend. How good was he, and does he have the potential to be that great of a player?
Well, I tell you what, I watched the game almost every snap, obviously, last weekend, and I've downloaded the film. I'm going to start watching the game tape version of it here as soon as we get off the call. He was impressive, man. Very rarely do players live up to the preseason hype, and they had Miles Jack, their all-star two-way linebacker/running back, come out and say that this kid was going to win the Heisman based off what he had done in the fall camp leading up to their first game. So not only does he have the respect of players that know what good quarterback play looks like playing in that conference, but I think now he's got the attention of the country, and I think it's well warranted. When you watched his ability to navigate the pocket, his patience, going through his read progressions, finding the open guy, not throwing it to the other guy. You can talk about all the completion percentage and all the yards that he threw for, but the thing that was most impressive to me was that he protected the football. 0 was the best number that Josh Rosen had last weekend, and that was 0 interceptions. If he can maintain that, I think that UCLA has a shot not only to win the Pac-12, but to be eventually a playoff team. Remember, 18 returning starters off that UCLA team. The only question was how are they going to replace Brett Hundley? Quite humbly, after week 1, and this is very premature, Josh Rosen brings stuff to the table that Brett Hundley never could, and that was pocket navigation and patience. Hundley's knock on him, was that he had happy feet and he would drift in the pocket, and that was the big reason why those sacks were there. So it's not 100% on that offensive line, which was porous and gave up sacks at times, but that position is also healthy. So So you have a very stout defense with a ton of depth. You've got a veteran wide receiver group. You got an offensive line that is good with a ton of returning experience that's finally healthy, and a true freshman quarterback that looks like he's wise and mature beyond his years. Yeah, I think if UCLA can continue what they started last weekend, they could be a national championship caliber team.